Okay, welcome to the layers tutorial. Click on layer, it's new, and new layer to create a new layer. That's one method of creating a new layer. And just in case you don't have the layer window visible, you can go to Windows and search for layers, then click on it. You can also show or hide the layer window by hitting F7. So F7 to hide, F7 again to show. Yeah, and to create a new layer also, you can hit this new layer icon to create a new layer. And when you have a blank layer like this, you can actually go to one of these special layers and then add solid color, and it will automatically replace that blank layer with the solid color layer. So you can see that this layer has something, a white thumbnail attached to it. That's called the layer mask thumbnail, and I'll show you what that does in a minute. Let's import a picture, hit and place. Let's pick a picture to import, and importing a picture also creates a new layer. That's a new type of layer as well. So you can see that's created a layer. Hit OK, and we'll scroll down, go down and create a layer mask attached to that layer. And now I'll show you what a layer mask does. So let's pick the brush tool. You can simply hit B to select the brush tool and then switch the color to black. And make sure that you can increase the brush size, and let's choose a brush. Make sure that you have the layer mask selected while you're doing all of this, and when you paint with black, it erases. But if you switch to white, let's see what happens. Yeah, it brings back everything that you have erased. So that is a cool trick to erase without destroying the image that you're erasing. You can get everything back by switching from black to white. So black erases and white will restore everything you have erased. Okay. And let's create a shape layer. So I'll show you another trick. You can see that I'm holding down shift while dragging to keep the proportion. Now let me drag this above. You can move layers around, dragging up or down, so we place them above each other. And yeah, let's just adjust this shape. So go to edit, choose a free transform, and scale this up. Just scale it up so you can match the image you have in the back a bit. So let's drag it down again, and now go to that image we imported earlier, that layer, and let's see, create clipping mask. Here it is. Click create clipping mask, and you can see that it's restrained to that circle which you just created. That is what the clipping mask does. It restricts whether it's an effect or an image, anything you have above it, to only that other layer beneath. So even if you scale up, it will still remain within. And you can hit Alt and click in between those two layers to create a clipping mask as well. Holding an Alt, click in between. And you can rename layers by double tapping the layer name. Let's rename that. Hit enter. Then you can change the color of that layer from there as well. That's just to help for identification. You're working layers, lots of layers. Now the blending mode. You can change blending mode from the hit multiply. Okay. Can switch to lighting. It's not really visible, so let me remove that clipping mask so you can see what I'm doing better. Let's hide that layer. Now you can see the effect, the blending mode. That is multiply, linear burn, These blending modes, you just play around with them until you get what you intend, what you desire. And let's just take it back to normal. For the opacity, let me use this shape layer to show you something about opacity and feel. Okay, go to the shape tool again. So you have those options up there, and we change the stroke, add the stroke rather, make it black, increase the stroke size, bump it up so you can see. Now let's reduce the opacity, and you see that the whole image is gone. It's no longer visible when it's turned down. Let's take it back to 100. Now to the feel, let's take the feel all the way down to 0. You can see that the stroke is still there, but the feel is gone. So that is a difference between feel and opacity, just in case. And let's go back to the move tool. To hide or show layers, you can click that eye icon there. To lock a layer, obviously hit the lock icon, and that means you can't edit anything in that layer anymore until you unlock it. So select the layer again and do the same thing, hit that lock icon to unlock. Now let's select all of these layers and group them. Go to layer, new, then group from layers. Can rename it, but for now I'm just going to hit OK. Yeah, that puts all those layers in the group, and you can move them. Let's unselect that auto select, and you can move them around. All of those layers will be dragged around at the same time. Okay, go back and undo. You can ungroup the layer by holding down Control and Shift, then G, Control Shift G to ungroup. So you can see there are lots of other, I just call them special layers. They are also like adjustment layers down here they can choose from. Lots of them, you can play around with them later on. But for now, I'll show you gradients. Gradient fill layer. I did that. Choose the gradient you want. Then hit OK. You can change between radial, angular, diamond, reflected. So let's just leave it at linear. Can also adjust the angles, the scale. Hit OK. Let's change the blend mode to overlay. You can see that's cool effect. Something to explore later on when you're working on your own. Let's change back to normal and delete that layer by hitting that trash icon there. Hit yes to delete. Now let's create a text. Let's write a new text. Hit OK. Drag that in the middle. Now let's try to take this layer above the text layer, duplicating by holding down Alt and dragging to duplicate that layer, then create clipping mask again. Hide the one underneath so you can see better. And now you can see that the whole of that image has been restrained inside of the text layer. So you have the image inside of the text now as a fill, thanks to the clipping mask option. That's cool, right? Now let's create a new layer, then convert to smart object. Let me show you what the smart object does. Let's double click on this icon and the thumbnail and open that layer, separate document, and let's place an image in there. Let's place that image. Try to scale it down. Scale that down and hit OK. Now we'll save that. Save. Now let's go back to our original work file. can't see layer very well, so let me take it up. Okay, now you can see that what we just did was updated in our original work, original document. Now you can still adjust it again so you can get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. So let's rotate it. Okay, and save again. And now you can see everything will update there will change. This is something you use when you're working with mockups a lot. So it's also a way of creating your own mockups if you know and understand that about smart layers, smart objects. Another thing about smart objects, let me show you with the filters. Let's choose a blur filter. Let's go down to the Gaussian blur and let's just take that up a bit. You can see the effects that are happening there inside of our text. And see, it's created an additional mini layer underneath. Let's unclip that so you can see the effect more. And because it is a smart object, that's why you can see it's creating that smart filter mini layer. You can hide that, show. You can still adjust the filter from within it since it's a smart object. But what if it's not a smart object? Let's see what happens. Let's drag this up, show that, and then let's make it, let's rasterize that layer so it's no longer a smart layer. You can see that icon is gone. So let's go to filter and repeat that same blur. You can see it's done now and there's no way of going back. You can't show or hide or adjust it any longer unless you undo. So that's something to have in mind. If you want to go back to adjust a filter, use a smart object. So that's all for this tutorial.